He's so excited. He wanted to be here. I called him. I said, yo, Cypher as a guest bear. And he was like, yes.
He's not going to be here?
No, he's not.
I thought Two Bears was you and him.
I know. Well, you're a guest bear.
Oh, I'll be a guest bear.
Yeah, you're a guest bear.
Okay.
So you're filling in for Tom.
On June 29th of 2020, Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer released episode 36 of Two Bears, One Cave, which would forever change the way that they and many other comics would approach podcasting.
You drinking Kool-Aid to start your day? Really?
It's so good.
What kind?
Red. Pour a little something for yourself. It's watered down. It's not too bad.
You really drinking
Ice
Kool-Aid?
cold. It's ice cold. Yeah.
You are drinking Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It's awesome.
You're drinking 64 ounce Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid clip went completely viral, getting over 20 million views on their own channels alone, and definitely set the foundation for what that show was about to become. Essentially a podcast where Bert Kreischer would tell everybody about his insane lifestyle, partying and drinking, and Tom Segura was there to make fun of him and laugh along.
By the way, it's noticeable now, right, that he's gaining weight.
Yeah.
Everyone can see it now, right?
Right.
Are you a doctor?
And well, that formula worked flawlessly. Their fans really enjoyed their chemistry, and it helped to position the show, the podcast, among the top comedy podcasts out there at some points. It helped the YMA Studios YouTube page to get over 15 million monthly views. And last but not least, it also helped to fuel their insane Comedy World Tour last year. But now, it's undeniable that the show's quality has greatly suffered over the past year, and the show is no longer the same. And I think it's a combination of multiple things. For example, Tom Segura started having wild meltdowns and lashing out at his own fans over some very simple stuff that would make it seem like he was losing touch with reality. Then Bert Kreischer started living an insane lifestyle and actually causing problems with his close friends, and started getting called out for being a liar.
But it's an insight into Bert's mind. He just made up his own story about me.
Interesting.
And that's how it...
So I ran over there in the car. I have the text, because in the story he told, I kept them waiting, which is not true.
Forever.
That's exactly wrong.
Yeah.
And this I have receipts. I have text.
This is everything. What you're saying right now is so specific to a Bert version of a story, though. This gross exaggeration.
They also got way too busy and started losing focus on that project and putting less effort into it. This caused them to start banking episodes months in advance, and this was around the time when Tom Segura moved to Austin, which also caused them to start ramping up the amount of guest bears that would appear on the episodes, which really brought down the quality of the show. Now, obviously, banking episodes or having guests on your podcast is not a bad thing, but when it comes to Two Bears, One Cave, the quality dropped so bad, it got so low that most recently, something really funny happened where the guest didn't even know that he wasn't recording with Tom Segura and only with Bert Kreischer, which it could be a simple mistake by the production by not telling the guest, or it could also be a pretty nasty bait and switch.
He's so excited. He wanted to be here. I called him. I said, yo, Cypher as a guest bear. And he was like, yes.
He's not going to be here?
No, he's not.
I thought Two Bears was you and him.
I know. Well, you're a guest bear.
Oh, I'll be a guest bear.
Yeah, you're a guest bear.
Okay.
So you're filling in for Tom. Thank God.
Right. I don't speak Spanish, though.
No, oh, he speaks Spanish.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
However, it does make sense. Both of them are independently successful doing their own thing. Tom Segura, before his last comedy special on Netflix, was a top 10 stand-up comic, in my opinion. And although I'm not a huge fan of Bert Kreischer's stand-up comedy, he is still a beast at marketing and selling tickets. There's no denying that. So because they don't necessarily need the podcast to make a living and sell tickets, they don't treat it as their main priority. But it makes so much money that it would just not be it wouldn't be a smart decision to just end it. And it's actually shocking that they've made it this far, because Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer are the complete opposite type of person. They don't even hang out outside of work or business events. And although they call themselves best friends, I think they're more like good business partners.
I called Tom yesterday and was like, and I can unload on him and he can unload on me. Like, he was going through something the other day and he can unload on me. And it's like, and we talk about our wives and like, but if we didn't have a podcast together, I don't know I don't know how our connection it would be, you know?
Now, this is very interesting because a huge part of a comedy podcast is selling you on the idea that the host, the people that are hosting the show, are actually having a good time and are friends. So when it's real and honest, you get shows like Bad Friends, who right now is completely killing it and can be considered one of the top comedy podcasts at the moment. Obviously, Tom and Bert Kreischer were like that at some point, but recently it seems like their friendship is really one-sided. For example, Tom Segura's move to Austin following Joe Rogan was very aggressive, and it essentially forced Bert Kreischer to have to fly to Austin and back to LA in order to do the podcast and do his own shows. And the fact that Two Bears One Cave, the show, is under YMH Studios still blows my mind. I mean, I'm sure that things work out and they have a good deal going on, but I feel like it gets a little bit messy. For example, they have a YouTube page, YMH Clips, and one of their most viewed videos is from Two Bears One Cave with over 6 million views. And then on the YMH Studios main channel page, most of their most viewed shorts are from the Two Bears One Cave podcast. So again, it just gets very messy. If it was by itself, I'm pretty confident that Two Bears One Cave would already be a channel with over 1 million subscribers. And it's also interesting that Tom Segura has no problem exposing Bert Kreischer on his show and on Two Bears One Cave and talking about his lies and all that stuff. But when it comes to Tom Segura, they don't really bring up his meltdown at the airport or the time that he was calling out his own fans. By the way, just a quick plug, Comedy Enforcement shirts and hoodies should be available at the website by now, by the time this video comes out, comedyenforcement.com. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out the shirts and the hoodies. And yeah, the website should be live by now, comedyenforcement.com. Thank you.
Any car you can't fit in.
Can I just say
any
this
car
real
you can-
quick?
Yeah.
Every time we talk about like a watch or a car, I'll get a bunch of messages from losers that try to tell me that I'm making them feel bad about their situation. You're in control of your own situation and your own feelings. So don't put it on me that you feel bad.
Why does it upset you so much to live off the land?
Hate camping?
Is it because it's like poor people things? Is it because it's poor?
No, I'm not like, there's things that people like and don't like.
Now, keep in mind that even his own wife, Christina P., tried to lightly troll him, asking him if the reason why he didn't like to hike was because it was a poor people thing. And Tom Segura didn't even make a joke about it. He just moved on and didn't address it, because it was around that time when he was receiving a lot of backlash over a wild meltdown he had on Twitter, because essentially an airline worker, an employee, made him check in one of his bags, and that inconvenienced him. So he started going out. He started lashing out on Twitter, replying to his fans, and it didn't go very well. He received a lot of backlash. He received a lot of hate for essentially going off on somebody that was just doing their job. He ended up receiving so much backlash and a lot of hate that he decided to apologize indirectly, which was interesting to see, because the rich guy bit was funny, but a lot of fans agree that it's kind of getting old. And the fact that he called out his fans before and was actually upset doesn't help at all, because I can't confirm this, but if you look on Google, it says that Tom Segura's dad was one of the first VCs at an insanely huge company in the States. So the whole narrative about growing up broke, I don't know if I believe that.
Tom Segura did not always have money. You think you were short on rent? Tom went through a pecan pie epidemic where he was eating pecan pies left and right and spending his money on pecan pies, living in Koreatown in the sketchiest neighborhood in the world. Well, that's a great speech, man.
Yeah.
But if you ignore Tom and Bert's personal flaws, or whatever you want to call them, you still can't ignore the fact that the show is falling apart. I mean, the fans still enjoy listening to Tom interviewing guests, but when it comes to Bert Kreischer by himself, it's essentially Bertcast 2.0, and lately the episodes have been getting crushed with dislikes. Even Tom Segura's most recent solo podcast didn't do so well, besides the Matt Rife interview, obviously. And on top of that, they've banked and pre-recorded so many episodes at this point that you probably won't hear about Bert Kreischer getting exposed by Joe List or Tom Segura's wild airport meltdown for like another month or two, if they even bring it up. And once again, banking episodes is not that bad, but YMH has definitely taken it too far. And they also produce a lot of shows. They have like 5 different other shows on their own channel. Tom Segura has his own channel where he just uploaded a video of him flying around in a jet, which is pretty funny. Bert Kreischer also has his own podcast, his own cooking show, and his own movie. So they're definitely taking the quantity over quality approach.
Like, he's going back on, but since you're here, I should ask. So like, he's going back on tour. I know this.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he, he's been sober.
Yep.
And probably eating better, or actually, so eating keto, I should say. So that's what he's eating. But he's going to go back on tour. So he's going to be out of ketosis. He's going to be drinking again.
Now, Tom's most recent change to a healthier lifestyle and trying to be more like Joe Rogan, and then Bert Kreischer's insane lifestyle, is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not helping the show. It's not helping out the show at all. For example, when Joe Rogan did his friends a favor and went to their podcast, many took advantage of it and others didn't. For example, Andrew Schultz literally built an entire new studio in preparation for the Joe Rogan episode, and it completely paid off. Theo Vaughn, although they recorded at the Joe Rogan studio, still did pretty well. And then Two Bears One Cave didn't really do anything at all. It was pretty boring, actually. And now that Bert Kreischer is going back on tour, I don't think anything is changing anytime soon. I mean, ever since the show was started, 30% of the episodes have been with guest bears, which doesn't sound that bad. I mean, at some point, Flagrant was heading that way where they would have a new guest on every single episode. But that's way different. It would be a whole different story if they had Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, and then a guest every single episode. It doesn't matter. But the way they did it, they would literally go on for like 4 or 5 episodes in a row that would only be Bert Kreischer and a different guest bear every single episode. It would be like if Andrew Schultz took an entire month off of Flagrant Podcast, then came back for a few weeks, then took another month off, and then came back. It just makes you lose sense of what the entire show is even about. There really isn't any other big podcast doing that right now.
It's not my responsibility to control how you feel.
I don't like horror movies. I don't watch them. I don't watch them and then complain to Rodrigo Ramirez or whatever the guy's name is.
Robert Rodriguez?
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And then go, hey man, your movie bothered me.
Yeah.
You can't be making those movies.
No, of course
No,
not.
people like it. There are people that here, I love talking about watches. I really do. Because
Sure.
I just got into watches. I don't have a ton of watches, but I like when people talk about them.
Now, I don't think the podcast is like a horror movie. I think it's more like a scary TV show in which every other episode, the main characters are missing. They're not there. And then every once in a while, you have the main characters show you how rich they are and talk about themselves for a whole hour. I mean, at the end of the day, the podcast is still massive and is very successful, but I think they could be way bigger. But I think for the show to actually change, they would need to move back closer to each other and then stop banking so many episodes in advance, because at the end of the day, the show used to be more like an update to their fans, like a weekly update of what was going on in their life. Also, it doesn't help that recently one of their producers left the show, Nadav, who was very liked by their fan base and used to really add a lot to the episodes. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Dislike if you didn't like the video, but that is all we have for today. See ya.